And then the pandemic hit and things dramatically changed for the veterinary industry. I remember it was basically overnight. I'm working and the next day, no clients are allowed in the hospital. Remember how scared you were when that happened to even leave your house? And we're all feeling like we have to go to work. These animals are still gonna get sick. There's animals that are sick that need us, and we can't just stay home and wait it out.
Hey everyone, you're watching the Lively Charleston Podcast. Our goal with the show is to interact with and tell the stories of the amazing people, places, and businesses that make Charleston the best city in the world.
If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube.
And check us out on Instagram and Facebook, where we post content regularly throughout the week.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Lively Charleston Podcast, where our goal with the show is to tell the stories of the people, places, and businesses that make Charleston the best city in the world. I'm super excited to introduce you today to, she is a local entrepreneur. She is building something really special. I'm really excited about to tell you. She kind of did a snapshot of the area, really kind of had to search her heart and to figure out how she was going to introduce her business to the market and how she was going to go about it. And I think it was really cool because she got to take a snapshot of the local veterinary market here in Charleston and kind of step back, if you would, and kind of look at it from a bird's eye view and decide to go with pet care professionals. And it's a mobile veterinary clinic.
Yep. Yeah. So it's been a really exciting adventure. I kind of always wanted to have my own business, and I never really knew what it would be. And I think as an entrepreneur, you always have these ideas, kind of coming through your mind, and you kind of have to wait till the right thing inspires you, and you just go for it. And it's a little scary, but it's been really, really fun.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. And I'm curious, where did the veterinary interest come in? Did it happen like at a young age? Did it hit you somewhere like in your 20s or when you're in college? Tell me that story.
Yeah, so it's funny. I actually don't even really remember the idea coming to my mind, but my mom tells the story that when I was very, very young, I told her I wanted to be a veterinarian. I always loved animals. It was kind of ironic because my parents are not really, they have a dog, but they're not the typical animal people where I had a house full of animals. I begged and pleaded for my first pet that was a goldfish, and then it progressed from there. And it was just something from a young age, and I always loved science. I remember being really young and asking my dad, I wanted a microscope set. So it wasn't even just the animals. I loved the science behind it, and I just was always fascinated in learning more about them. And so in probably high school was when it really took off. There was a local vet. I had horses at the time, and he offered to let me shadow him, and he paid me, very little, but I didn't care. And I actually got to do it as like an independent study program through my high school. So every afternoon I'd go with him in his truck and we'd do ambulatory farm calls. And so in the beginning I thought, I definitely want to be a horse vet. I love horses. And
was it Dr. Pole?
It was not. It was not. His name is Dr. Matchett. He's on Maui. So I grew up in Hawaii. So
that's right.
Yeah, it's a very unique place to grow up. There's actually a ton of horses and cattle there. A lot of other pets too. But that's how it started, was really, an ambulatory horse vet. And I loved it. And I kind of didn't care about the rest of school. I just wanted to be with him every afternoon. But, realizing that if I wanted to go to vet school, I needed good grades and to go to a good college. So it started there. I got into Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in California. Did my undergraduate degree in animal science with a pre-veterinary focus, and actually an equine reproduction minor, because I still at that time thought horses were going to be it. And it was funny because I got into vet school. I went to Oklahoma State University, and it was there that I actually changed my mind that, I realized I love horses, I love riding and competing, and I wanted my job and my hobbies to be separate. So I became very fascinated with, the medicine that kind of comes with dogs and cats, which is a little more, I don't want to say complicated, but you have more resources and more research. So there's just a lot more that you can do. And I just loved it, and that's kind of how it all blossomed from there. And it's funny because I look back and all these pictures of me, I was always with a horse, and I thought I would definitely be a horse vet. It's also hard as a woman to get into being a horse vet because it's a very, very physical job to be out on a farm and wrangling horses that don't always want to. It's hard enough with dogs and cats.
Yeah,
so.
No, I can imagine.
Yeah.
And what I find fascinating is, doctors, right? For humans, they learn the human body.
Sure.
You have to learn the feline, the canine,
yep.
Horses, bovine, all the ines.
Yeah. And then you have all the exotic animals too,
right.
which every single one of them has such a unique body system. They all respond to medications differently. So it is kind of fun because really in vet school, what a lot of people maybe don't know, depending on the school you go to, you actually can pick a tract. So you can pick small animal, you can pick large animal, which is cattle, horses, sheep, goat, all the ruminants, or you can do a mixed, kind of combination. And I did a combination just because I wanted to still have the horse classes because I loved being around them. And I actually did some exotic animal rotations too. And there really isn't an animal I don't like. So I did snakes, and we got to work on kangaroos and tortoises and turtles and rabbits, and I loved it all. It was really fun, and it is cool because a lot of vets, they kind of stick with one little thing, and it's been hard for me because I always like it all, and so just kind of picking, where you want to go and what you want to be really, really good at.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the craziest? So you mentioned snake and kangaroo. Do you have any what's the craziest animal and situation maybe?
Okay. That's a tough question. I have been able to work with some zoos, which I think is always fascinating because the animals are larger than life. So we got to sedate like a gorilla and do a cardiology exam. And it wasn't me specifically doing it. I was just there helping with the anesthesia. And, anytime I think you get to work on a zoo animal is really cool.
Yeah.
And there are, quite a few vets that are zoo vets, but really if you think about how many zoos there are in the country, there aren't that many of them. It's a very competitive job.
I can imagine.
And also just you have to be highly, highly skilled to be able to work on all those different animal species. And it's complicated too because you're doing a lot of, conservation work at that point, and there's a lot to know and a lot that you don't want to mess up because these animals, are depending on you. So
yeah.
And they're in the public eye a lot. So but I think that's some of my most fun memories. I worked at Santa Barbara Zoo for a summer, helping them with the lemurs and flamingos, and I've gotten to do a lot of that stuff. So it was very, very fun. Very good memories. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Lemurs, huh?
Yeah.
They seem so neurotic.
They are. They're a little crazy. A lot of primates. I've worked on monkeys and a lot of other pets. I lived in Florida prior to Charleston, and so there the exotic animal pet trend is very big. And so I saw a lot of exotics. And it's funny because you think, oh my gosh, working on a monkey, that would be so cool. And then you realize they're very mean, and you basically have to sedate them to do anything with them. And the people that own them can be a little quirky and interesting, and it's not maybe as glamorous. And they also carry a lot of diseases that are, they're so closely related to humans. You have to be really careful that you don't get infected by something from them too. So,
so
but
funny.
It's fun. That stuff is fun.
Yeah. Okay. But let's dive into Florida a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm smiling because I can think of this post that I saw. Somebody was on a dating app, and they were making fun of Tinder or whatever in Florida. These women were like, I can't tell you how many guys I'm dating who have pet snakes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So,
and it's it dialed in on Florida.
It is. It's so interesting. And I think part of it is every state has different laws about what pets you can own.
Okay.
The laws in Florida are very, I don't want to say loose, but there are not a lot of restrictions on the types of exotic pets you can own. So there, I was very involved with a lot of different people that own pet snakes, from 14-foot pythons that they would bring in that, take up the whole hospital, to a lot of smaller ball pythons and different things. So snakes are fun to work with. A lot of reptile medicine really comes down to husbandry, meaning how you care for them, how you're feeding them, the environment you're keeping them in, because you have to, they're not in their natural environment. So providing all the right humidity and heat and UV light that they require and the nutrition that they require. Typically, all the health problems with those types of pets come down to poor husbandry, not necessarily the health of the pet, but I think, it's a status thing. People want to be cool, and, social media drives that because...
Check out my snake.
Yeah, people, look, there's a guy I follow that has tigers, it's
yeah,
crazy.
That's pretty cool.
So, but, at the same time, it's like, you need to be very financially ready to take on something like that.
Yeah.
It's a long commitment to a pet like that, and trying to provide for them, some sort of natural environment, that is suitable for them to be healthy for a long time.
My cousin, her husband in college started, I don't know what you call it, but I mean, he houses all these pythons. Mm-hmm. And, and the biggest thing, he was just like, I wanted to start this business. And I think the biggest thing, because it was like, he felt like it was low maintenance, I guess, or he felt it was low maintenance. You just feed them mice and, you keep them warm, no big deal. But he's still doing it to this day. Yeah. And he sells, I guess, these
probably like morphs, different colors. And
but he sells them to research, I think.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. I don't want to get him in trouble.
Yeah. We won't mention his name. No, right. Snake breeding, I actually do know quite a bit about it, but they house them in these very interesting kind of enclosures that are almost like drawer systems. So they're actually very well temperature controlled. The humidity is perfect. Yes, they eat once a week. Yeah. And a lot of people are into breeding them, just like we are as humans. We are fascinated by the unique and different. So a lot of these breeders, especially with snakes, want to breed them to be certain colors and certain patterns that are just very eye-catching. And people become, almost, just so fascinated with it. And people want to have them as pets. People want to breed them. And the number of color combinations you can see with especially ball pythons and some of these others is just incredible. And
right.
But from a veterinary standpoint, they all need the help too. And it's tough for them because there's not a lot of vets out there that that aren't afraid of a snake. And most of these snakes are actually very, very docile and sweet, and they're not going to, bite you, and they're not venomous. So
right.
Should specify. I do not work on venomous snakes.
Yeah, I don't know. That gives me the heebie-jeebies.
I've been around them, and it makes me sweat. So
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, so Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo.
Yep.
Oklahoma.
Yes. Yep.
Right?
Yep. Oklahoma State. Yep.
Sorry.
Go Cowboys.
And then I believe you told me you spent in the time in Florida.
Yeah.
Huge practice. 36 vets.
Exactly.
Correct?
Yep. So I left. So you kind of have a couple of options when you graduate from vet school, and you either go into a job or you go and get an internship. So I had decided I wasn't sure. If you want to specialize, you really have to do an internship first and then apply for a specialty residency, just like human doctors. Mm-hmm. And so I decided I didn't want to eliminate that possibility because I just wasn't really sure. Mm-hmm. So I applied for internships at about 10 different hospitals, got interviews, chose Florida because I had some family there, and ended up at this hospital. Very, very fun experience. So it's a year of very grueling hours. You're working at night. You're working. I had 6 other intern mates. There were 7 of us total. Mm-hmm. We became very, very close, and we were kind of each other's sounding board. It's like with any profession. You go through all this school. I'd gone to school for 11 years almost because I did a couple of extra years here and there for some minors and other, extra things. And you leave vet school and you think, oh yeah, I know what I need to do. And you have no idea, really you do from a medical standpoint because you've learned all the information, but to be able to explain that to the customer and to the client and actually feel like you're doing a good job takes a while. And having good mentorship is so critical for any new graduate. And so I felt like I really hit the lottery. I was at a hospital called Hollywood Animal Hospital. Cool. It's in Hollywood, Florida. It's a huge hospital. They have every different specialty there. it's a very unique hospital because not only are they a specialty hospital, they also do general practice, which is actually really rare. Yeah. So I got to rotate through all the specialties. I got to learn a lot about surgery and, become a surgeon myself to some degree. I never ended up pursuing doing a residency. I actually fell in love with emergency medicine, and so they ended up hiring me to stay as an emergency and general practice doctor. Mm-hmm. I worked there for almost 4 years after the internship, so almost 5 years total. And then I just decided, you know what, it's tough. I was working, 100-hour weeks sometimes, and you start at a certain age, it's fine, and then at a certain age, you're like, I want a real life. And
I need my life back.
Yeah, and I went through all this schooling to be able to have a certain lifestyle, and so it became kind of more important to me at that point. So I worked at a couple other hospitals, some of them weren't quite fast-paced enough for me from what I was used to. Others just weren't a good fit. And then the pandemic hit, and things dramatically changed for the veterinary industry. I remember it was basically overnight. I'm working, and the next day, no clients are allowed in the hospital.
Yeah.
We never closed because we can't. And so I was, along with all of my colleagues, talk about stressful. If you can remember how scared you were when that happened to even leave your house, and we're all feeling like we have to go to work. These animals are still going to get sick. There's animals that are sick that need us, and we can't just stay home and wait it out.
Yeah.
So it was a really trying time mentally. So, you're going with masks and face masks, and we're gowned because nobody really knew at that point, what do we need to do?
I remember I had to take my dog to the hospital during that time, and it was, I don't know, because you come in and you're so worried about your animal and you just want to get in. And I remember trying to get in, and everybody was just like masked up and like, whoa, stop right there.
Yeah.
You step back, we'll come get your dog. And then I was like, oh man, this is crazy.
Yeah, it was very crazy. It's very stressful. And I think that a lot of clients kind of forgot that while they were very worried, we were scared, because no one knew really what was going on at that point. We were all in the dark. And, we still wanted to do the best we can. So you add stress to anxiety to terror. It was interesting. Right. The first year was very difficult. And I stuck it out, that first. It was about 6 months that I was in Florida during the pandemic. And my sister, in the meantime, had got offered a job in Charleston. I had been here once before. I loved it. I thought it was beautiful. Florida, I love Florida, but, the traffic had gotten crazy, and just it was feeling very claustrophobic and populated. And I had been here once, and I was like, you know what? Why not? So we kind of on a whim, I decided to move to Charleston with my sister. We're very close, and I got a job here at an emergency hospital, so kept chugging along and doing the emergency medicine for about another 6 months. And at that point, I don't know if it was the pandemic finally had caught up with me, and I was looking at all my friends that had had a year off of work, and I was so jealous of them. But also, I know it comes with other things that weren't so great too. But I was like, I got to do something different. To be honest, I considered leaving veterinary medicine altogether. That year was just so trying, and then to add everyone. I don't really exactly remember the numbers, but the percentage of pet ownership skyrocketed during the pandemic because everyone was at home and they wanted companionship, and so the shelters were empty. All these dogs and cats got adopted, but no one was graduating. More vets are not graduating from vet school. There still are not more vets graduating now than there were before, and there are way, way more pets than we've ever seen. So the demand...
That's something you don't think about.
Right,
wow.
And the demand on the industry... It has been straining, very, very straining, because not only is it that we can't physically see all the pets we need to in a day, we now have staff that are burning out and leaving the industry altogether. So it's a terrible vicious cycle that I'm trying to change. And it was kind of how I came up with my business. And
right, I wanted to get to that because you came from working all this time in the vet hospital. All these hours per week, getting your life back. And so explain that to me, how you came upon this.
It's kind of funny. One of my best friends, she was my roommate in vet school. She has a family, and she was kind of feeling the same way. She's like, and for her, she has kids, and, she's like, I just don't know how I'm going to keep working like this forever. It's so demanding. You leave work, and what a lot of clients don't think about is from the moment I wake up in the morning to the moment I go to bed, all I'm thinking about is my patients, and sometimes in the middle of the night too.
Yeah.
And when I leave work, it doesn't end. Most of the time when I leave the office, or when I was leaving the office, I would have 3 to 5 hours of medical records to do at night, because it isn't like human medicine where you have a scribe that's doing your records for you during the appointments. Unfortunately, it's just not really set up that way. I know some hospitals may have that, but most, 90% do not. Okay. So you get home, you're doing records, and you go to bed and you wake up and you do it all over again. So during the pandemic, a lot of my friends, and including my best friend, we were talking about how, and I think a lot of it too has to do with this corporate movement in veterinary medicine, which has been huge. We see all these big corporations buying up all the small hospitals, and while they say it doesn't change anything, of course it does. It changes everything, and it changes the way that employees are treated. It changes the way that clients are treated. It changes the way that the industry is controlled financially. And not to, throw gas on a fire, but, they own the pharmacies, they own the laboratories, and they own the hospitals. So there is no way to say that they aren't, to some degree, monopolizing the industry, because they are. They own everything, and then they own you too. Yeah. And so I just, just one day I said, you know what, I don't want to be owned anymore, and I feel like all my appointments are rushed because I get 10 or 15 minutes with a client. I used to have these great relationships with people, and as the years have gone by, it's less and less because I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
And
they're holding you to standards too, right? They're like, oh, absolutely. 15 minutes. Move.
It's not that. It's how much money are you making every month for this hospital? And it's terrible to think of it that way. But at the same time, yes, they are running a business, and it has to support itself too. But to put that type of pressure on an industry of people who all got into it because we love animals. I don't think there's any vet in the world that got into it because, they thought that they were going to get rich doing it, because then they chose wrong. But
I have a buddy who was trying to do it, but guess what? He didn't get in.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's better off probably anyway, But so anyway, my best friend and I, her name's Ashley. Hi, Ashley. We decided, we're like, what if and mobile veterinary medicine is nothing new. It's been around for a while. It's just a kind of a newer trend, I think, that because of COVID has caught on. And so we together decided, she lives in Virginia, I live here, and I said, let's try to figure this out, together. We've got each other. So she, and it's interesting because we did it together, yet if you look at our business models, they're very different. But we're different people, and we just decided to do things a little differently. But it was great to have each other to bounce the ideas off of. And so the idea behind the business is, let's go back to kind of old school veterinary medicine where, you know your doctor personally. And how it works with my business model is, you can call me or schedule the appointment online. And I come to your house and we do the appointment, wherever your pet is most comfortable. And a lot of times I'm examining dogs laying on the couch or on the owner's bed. Yeah. Cats especially thrive in that type of environment. And not all of them love it. Don't get me wrong. So they still know. They still know I'm a stranger. They still smell my bag full of medications, and they know. But it has dramatically changed the way that I've just seen pets respond to being treated in the house. Their reactions to getting vaccines, half the time they don't even notice.
They don't notice.
Because
they're comfortable.
They're comfortable. There's not that, anxiety. And I think what leads to the anxiety is the car ride. Getting into a lobby full of barking dogs, especially for a cat, or a dog that's just, a little timid.
Right.
Now you're waiting 20 minutes. Then you get put in the exam room. You wait another 20 minutes in the exam room for a nurse to come in. They ask you all the questions. Then you think you're done. Then the doctor comes in. They ask you all the questions again, because there is something to be said about the second time you get asked the questions, more information comes out.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that I looked at and I was like, this is such an inefficient, kind of way. Although it is efficient in a sense of seeing a lot of animals in a day, but not efficient from a standpoint of an owner. And I think what happens too is I'm the same way. You get to the doctor's office, you got 10 questions in your head that you need to ask him. And by the time you leave, you haven't asked any of them because you just get flustered and things.
You get caught up in the system and processes that they are pushing on you. Yeah.
Yeah. So my business model is very simple. It is what I kind of call concierge medicine. So these people become, my personal friends really and clients, and they have my cell phone number. I'm available all day, every day to them to send me a text or a phone call or an email. I try to really, it has allowed me, and it is a little more taxing maybe for some reasons, but not for others. I want all these pets to be treated like they were my own pets. And so, medication recommendations, I just can tell my medicine that I'm practicing is so much better because I have the time and the energy and the emotional connection to these pets that I had lost. And honestly, like I said, I had kind of stopped. I wasn't enjoying it anymore. And now I am. I absolutely love it. Yeah. I think it's really fun. The clients that have given it a chance, I know would never, ever go back to having it any other way.
Yeah.
The other thing is so many things, kind of back to like the reptile thing is, behavior is all about where the animal lives and their environment. And so being able to see the animals in the environment, I can help clients with a lot of things that I think in the clinic I wouldn't really understand. But, maybe is it arthritis or are they anxious because they don't want to go up and down the stairs? And there's a lot of things that you just pick up on that you would never, ever know in the clinic setting. And I love that because I think it's the best thing for the pets by far.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I totally get that. Reminds me, I don't know, there's this old, I'm going to age me, but Doc Hollywood. Did you ever where he was like the Hollywood surgeon and he moves to the small town?
Yeah, absolutely.
But he fought it but he ended up loving it so much because he got to connect, right?
Yeah.
It was all ended up being
it is. It's all we've
stuff.
Lost so much human connection, I think, over the past couple of years. It's fun to get it back. All my clients have become my friends, and, maybe not every single one, but I feel very close to them. I know their pets really well. I feel like as a whole, it's like this kind of whole wellness. I can help them with finding a good pet sitter. Now I'm thinking about maybe starting my own grooming business so that's tied in, and dog training has been, and that's why the name Pet Care Professionals came about. I wanted it to be like a whole health kind of situation for pets. So a one-stop shop where you can get vet care, grooming, training, dog walking, all those things, which eventually is on the forefront of the business.
Yeah.
The vet part is obviously for me, so that was where we started, and I hope that we can continue to expand. I would like to hire another vet or two in the area because it is a very big area to cover, but I travel from Allenda to Wadmalaw Island to Somerville, so I drive all over the place, and I'm in my little van.
I see that little van.
You can wave, but it's been really fun, and I have an assistant that comes with me a couple days a week, so that's been really great to have her. And I don't just do well health care. I also do hospice visits, end of life care, which it is very sad to talk about, but to be able to have a pet be at home during those, last moments or, as they get older, I get emotional thinking about it because I think I do because I had to do that recently. And I don't think I was in this emergency situation where like euthanasia was just part of my day. And now I just think, gosh, what a disservice to those poor animals who give us unconditional love their whole life. Yep. And their last memory is somewhere where they're scared and where they hated going, And so I hope really that becomes something that's more commonplace because I think once you've experienced seeing it, as sad as it is, the response of the animals and the owners is just completely different. It's completely different, and it just makes me really happy to be able to provide that kind of service, to like
that warms my heart, Kate.
And I think this is one of the greatest places to live. I don't think I'll ever leave. I really love it here. And,
Well, for those of you who don't know, you are kind of a rodeo rider. I mean, I don't know the proper term. I'm sorry. Lay it on me.
Yeah, no, I have reining horses. So I show in the reining. So, and this business has allowed me, to have a life again. And I think it makes me a better vet if I can have hobbies and have work. Yeah. And I tell my clients that too, I am going to go on vacation every once in a while. I have to. Yeah. And that they're so, I'm still available to them. Yeah. So it works out really well. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Pet Care Professionals, Dr. Kate Cappe, look for her, look for the van riding around. How can people best find you?
So they can best find us. We've got an Instagram page, Facebook page, hopefully a podcast dedicated. It's going to be called You Can Vet on It, coming soon. So,
love that name.
Yeah, we're going to work on that to kind of do some Q&A stuff with clients. And then our phone number. We are available. Basically, I answer the phone between 8 and 6 every day. So the number is 843-925-1326. We've got our website. I'm sure you guys can post a link to it.
Yep, sure will.
And yeah, we would love it. We post a lot of fun pictures on the Instagram and the Facebook. It's pretty just fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I can tell it's fun. Look at her shirt.
Yeah. You got the Bulldogs.
You got the Bulldogs on the shirt. Well, anyway, thank you so much for being here. This has been a total blast.
Yeah.
Everybody, you got to check this out. You got to give her a call, especially if you just love your dogs or your pets or whatever so much and just want them in the home.
Yeah.
I think that's such an awesome idea.
Yeah, we'll shower them in treats and love, and I think if once you do it once, you'll see the difference. It's huge. Yep.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Hey y'all, that's a wrap on today's episode. Thanks so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like or follow or subscribe, whatever platform you're on, just hit the button to make sure you don't miss any future episodes.
Yep, and please help us grow the channel by sharing it with someone else who might enjoy it as well. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.